What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. What a day in the markets. Today we are going to talk about every dirty detail of everything that happened today. The rally in the morning and then the give back in the afternoon. Let's dive into our box scores first. Then we'll take a look at the price action. We had the S&P 500. It finished down 0.12%. The most heartbreaking 0.12% loss I've ever seen. We had the NASDAQ down 0.32%. Our small caps still powered on, up 1.06%. Dow was pretty much unchanged, up 0.14%. And our ARK Innovation ETF finished out the session up 1.46%. Pretty much everything closed towards the lower third of the day's range. I am having a bit of a painting issue. For whatever reason, it still says my cumulative volume delta right here. But enough of that. Volatility did expand across the board, but not by a large margin by any means. Breadth was pretty mixed. We started off the day with about 85% up volume. By the end of the day, we had 69.2% up volume, and the trend model flipped from +3 to +1 right on the open. Invis heat map, Nvidia, they had some earnings today and they guided down, so they had a horrible earnings report. Let's just put it that way. I think it was like $8.7 billion worth of earnings expected, or revenue, and they missed on it by like 1.5 billion. It was pretty large, and I think everyone knows at this point, like, hey, these earnings that are coming out, they're not really good. There is some sort of economic slowdown, but I think it's all about like, where do analysts think we've hit the trough? Because if we're in a recession right now, but let's say we're on the way out of it, even if some of these companies report pretty poor earnings, that's all right if investors think that everything is going to get better. But if this is something a little bit different and we haven't hit that nadir yet, then that could be problematic for the market. Tesla, which got sparked on Friday, put up a feeble advance, up 0.78%. At one point, this stock was up as much as 4.5%. And then most of the other FANG names, they kind of just moved sideways or gave back small portions of last week's gains. The energy stocks, which had been weak during the last session, were actually some nice relative strength advancers today. But overall, there's really nothing here that's getting me excited. It just kind of looks like there's been some distribution that's been going on over the past few sessions, or at the very least some consolidation. Sectors, we still have fintech, biotech, as well as blockchain in our top slots. Bitcoin, for the most part, was trading at around 24,000 for a better part of the session. And now I believe we are giving back some of those gains in the after hours. Some areas of relative weakness, the semiconductors following Nvidia were down 1.51%. And KWeb, these Chinese internet names, were down 1.72%. We continue to experience the headlines related to China and Taiwan and how that pertains to the US and China relationship. And you can see retail was up 3.6%. That was also another nice relative advancer. Style factors, what do we see here? High div, low vol was up 0.58%. Best performer was small cap value. So that's kind of weird. It's not like a super risk on configuration. This looks more like a choppy old mess. Now let's take a look at our indices before we go over to my trades for the session. Then I'm probably going to have to restart the good old computer. S&P 500. Oh my gosh. They really did us dirty today, team. So they brought it all the way up to about 4189, like pretty darn close to 4200. I actually had an alert set if we got up to 4197.75. I was going to add some put options, but we couldn't even get that retest of the 4200 level. August has been an incredibly choppy month so far, and we're really just continuing to experience that. It's not like we're making any big traction to the downside. We did make a higher low today, and we also made a higher high, but we just didn't close on the highs of the session. So at this point, it's still very difficult to determine what's going to happen. I mean, it's not like anyone can divine what the CPI number is going to look like or anything like that. I think right now it's just some players being a little bit cautious. Nobody wants to stick their neck out too far ahead of that CPI number. And this is really where they just did us dirty, team. So look at this. S&P 500 at the beginning part of this session, look at this massive rip higher. And I'm sure there were plenty of investors out there that just said, you know what, I've had it. I'm getting long. This thing is not going down. Let's do it. let's ride it up. And then all of a sudden we just get this lackluster price action for the rest of the day. And then same thing, if you saw like, oh my gosh, we headed down to these levels, the big shorts finally happening, the market crash, we ended up closing right at this top of the weekly value area. So complete ambiguity. And this right now is just some range bound price action. I think if there was ever a day to just take the session off, it's probably tomorrow, because we're getting the CPI data on Wednesday. So who really wants to be loading up on risk tomorrow? Who really wants to be making any big changes? I could see it being another lackluster day, either just pretty lackluster and choppy, or to be perfectly honest, like some profit taking. That's kind of what I see occurring. NASDAQ also making a nice advance, and you can see this 20-day simple moving average is trading pretty far below price. I think most investors, after this rally, if and when we go back to that 20-day simple moving average, I think most investors are going to panic. The Russell 2000 is still moving up nicely to the upside, and even today still put in a very good green candle. And then of course we got our Dow Jones, which was looking okay at best. All right, so let's take a look at my trades for the session. I did try a long position in DQ. This was a stock that I had on last week, and I took it off for a base hit winner. And then today, man, they really did me dirty on this one. I got long DQ common shares for 68.13, 6 minutes into the session. This stock was really moving up nicely. It was pushing past the pivot from our weekend watch list. And I ended up taking a stop about 2 hours later for about a 6.5% loss. And I just wrote here, acceptable loss. It's perfectly fine. Sometimes you take a trade, the market just goes against you, that stock goes against you. And I think a lot of traders, they think that's a problem. Like if they put a trade on and then it goes the other way, like, oh my gosh, I'm a loser. But there's just so many times in the market where that happens. So those are actually like the losses you really shouldn't be worried about. If you enter a stock that's breaking out and then just sellers randomly appear and it starts heading to the downside, like there's nothing you can really do about that. But what I will say though is this stock DQ, it's so fantastic in so many different ways. And let's pull up the chart. So it looks very good. The fundamentals are there and everything, but it really just goes to show that the group a stock is in really matters. Because even though this stock has everything going for it, it's a Chinese name. So yeah, when those Chinese names are very weak, it's going to be very tough for this stock to have a very nice advance. That said though, if the pressure comes off of these Chinese names, this is a really good stock to keep on your radar. And I'm certainly going to keep it on mine as well. Yeah, DQ got stopped out of that one. And you just got to roll with the punches. And I closed out my PRVA covered calls. I had some common stock. I sold calls against the position. I closed that out for $27.70. I had paid, or no, I closed out for $36.55, excuse me. I had paid $27.70. So very nice winner. This is maybe like a 35-40% winner for me. And PRVA, it's been one of the leading stocks off the lows. And it just started putting in kind of like an ugly candle. And I just wanted to take some profits off the books heading into Fed Wednesday anyway. And I also took off my AEHR common shares. I had sold calls against these as well. Took those off for $14. I'd paid $11.79. And one of the major reasons I took this off, I just wanted to be conservative and just clean things up a little bit. But also like PRVA, I had sold calls against my common shares at the 40 strike. So when I think about it, my upside is up to 40. At the time when I sold this position, I believe the stock was trading at like $38.50. So I got $1.50 of upside. Beyond that, nothing. But on the downside, if the market gets very weak off the CPI report, I could lose a ton of money. So I wanted to take that off. Did the same thing with AEHR. This name, also check it out. Yeah, very nice advance. I bought this stock on this candle right here on August 1st. And just very nice upward acceleration on this name. And if this one pulls back, I would definitely be interested in re-entering it. But kind of a similar deal here. I had upside to $15 and unlimited downside. So that's kind of problematic. And I just wanted to take some things off the books anyway. And after the bell, I did see the DigitalOcean earnings come out. So I did take a position in this name in the after hours. And DigitalOcean just keeps executing, honestly. So we'll see what happens with this name tomorrow. I think if this name cannot stage a rally after putting up some good numbers, I think the rest of the market's pretty much in trouble here. But we'll have to see what happens. overall, there's not really a whole lot to say in terms of market direction, because I do believe it's all going to come down to the CPI as well as the PPI reports. So until then, just don't get stressed out. Don't try to overtrade or overdo anything. Tomorrow should pretty much be like a nothing burger day. Tomorrow's a great day to work on your process. With that being said, that about does it for this video. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you all next time. Enjoy, everyone.